what is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the 2019 album by Kutt Calhoun. I'm going to review the 2019 album by Kutt Calhoun. Basically, this product is called Truth Be Told, and it came out in the spring of 2019. Now, the thing about this particular album is it actually has a lengthier name. This is actually, Truth Be Told is part of a subtitle. The actual full name of this album is kind of a more low-key album, so the information is not as full-blown about it. But the full-blown title of this product is called Persona Non Grata, Truth Be Told. Not sure what the persona non grata means in particular, but Google probably knows as far as this pitch can happen. But just be able to say that's the full name. It came out in spring of 2019. Now this is one of the initial products that Kutt Calhoun did with his Black Gold label. That Black Gold was the name of his 2013 album, the last album he did with Tech N9ne, Strange Music. So the unfortunate thing is, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it kind of isn't in the same sense. Kutt Calhoun eventually left Tech N9ne's label in 2013, 2014, as far as this pitch can happen. He did put out an EP in 2015 called Cut and Loose, which was the initial one off of the Black Gold label, which is pretty excellent type product there. I gave that like a 10 out of 10 in late 2023. I'd say real excellent type fare. This is like the first full-blown album, so it took a little bit. This kind of took a few years off as far as this pitch can happen, but this is another classic here for Kutt Calhoun. I'd have to say excellent type fare. Now it makes me question if there are other artists on the Black Gold label. I just question if he actually has like a label that houses artists like Tech N9ne did with Strange Music. I don't know if it's only for Kutt Calhoun or if there were other folks on there. It's really not as much full-bound information. Kutt Calhoun is very low-key nowadays. The commonplace information about him is just not as full-blown. He was kind of low-key just back in the days when he was part of Tech N9ne, Strange Music. So it's just kind of within the fair that these updates just kind of happen. Like he did drop an album in late 2024, which I only knew about within the past good while as far as this pitch can happen. But there are at least, after this particular product, he did drop an EP in 2023, and then he dropped an album in 2024. So it's a good pitch behind that. It's just the fair. But Kutt Calhoun continues his reign with this particular product. Good hit album here. Is a classic within the fair behind it, just within the modesty of it, just within the impact of it. I'd have to say good, excellent typeness to kind of get. But the actual pitch behind it is this is a different trace of an album here. I'd have to say it's some good type fare, definitely within the aspect, but just understand the concept that when Kutt Calhoun talks about the fact talking about Truth Be Told, it is the impact that this is not as much just gallivants and just social club bounce and pitches like that, which really, I want to say that Cut and Loose was kind of not like that either, or Black Gold. So really the last time that Kutt Calhoun just really cut loose in terms of just like frivolous type fare was probably on like an album like Feature Presentation or even Blev, one of those type ones. Maybe the Kutt Calhoun's 2010 album, Raw and Uncut, one of those type ones. But it's been a little bit, so this is just real talk type fare. I mean, it melds it with good productions. That's the good part about this product. Not to say like not to say I don't like the direction of this product, but it's just within the concept that you do get these on some pretty good emphatic type productions on here. The real quality of this product is in spades on here. The real quality of this product is in spades on here as far as the delivery of it kind of happens. The real quality of this product is in spades on here as far as the delivery of it kind of happens. But I would look after the unfortunate thing about this product is just the fact there is no single from what I was able to gather. I looked on Kutt Calhoun's YouTube channel and pitches like that. I looked around on Google, was not able to find anything really marketed as a single. And when you go to Kutt Calhoun's Truth Be Told playlist that he has for this particular album, it doesn't appear that there were any music videos. So it's just within the fair. I think this was a single free type project, which is unfortunate, but basically just to say I recommend all 10 of the songs on this particular project. But the thing about it is one of those 10 is an almost song, which is the song Savior. So to talk about that one, so I would say I would give this album a 10 out of 10. I'm basically going to give this album a 10 out of 10, but you just have to understand the fact that it's within, I mean, this is like a very classic type product within the pitch behind it, but it's just there's a different taste of what to expect here. It's just not the standard routine kind of fun and games. But for the most part, I would say it's just the only real minor snag about this product would be the song Savior. I enjoyed the song quite a bit. Definitely like the production on this particular song, but it does have like some religious kind of glaze about it just within the tone. When it talks about Savior, it's just within the pitch of having like some religious tints about it that I did find myself wanting that to not be on the song as much as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just kind of feels like a flare. I mean, to talk about Savior, Kutty does like a grand take on late 2010s trap. I'd have to say here, it just melds with that style particularly well. He also did that particular style on Cut and Loose from 2015. This has some nice thump and drawl about it, I'd have to say about this one, but it just needs less religious tint about this one as far as those pitches kind of happen. It's just kind of the aspect. It's kind of within the tone. If you listen to like standard 2010s trap and you throw this particularly in the playlist, this kind of the concept. I mean, within certain aspects it can be pulled off. You know, when DMX does it, folks like that, certain senses, Afro Man, some of those type of folks, just kind of within the pitch. It just depends upon the conduct, and you know, just kind of within the tone of whether or not that's the full blown direction that you would want within that pitch. But it's just the aspect that it is there within the concept. Not to say like that it's a slash full bound event amongst the product, but it's just kind of the concept when you're listening to like the standard flow of trap. That's just kind of the tone behind it. But it's a good, excellent type fair. But I look at it, so every song on here I recommend just within the fashion behind it. So yeah, this album gets a 10 out of 10 just within the pitch behind it as far as those fairs going to happen. There are some bops on here, but just to be able to say within the concept, there's some club bounces on here. Songs like Where I'm Going, Where You Been, and that's the whole name of that song, Where I'm Going, Where You Been. And then by the liquor stores, both some club bops on here. Money Talks is kind of a relative club bounce, a little bit of a floaty, ghastly type one. Ease My Mind's a great smoking song, but it's just kind of the concept that, you know, Kutt Calhoun has a message in each one of these songs. He's not just talking about booties and blunts and Benzes and things like that, just in the tone behind it, just within the tone as far as those pitches kind of happen. You just have to understand the aspect that you're getting a little bit more food for thought, but it is kept in an interesting sense. It is kept in an interesting sense when I normally talk about the complaints when I say about when folks try to include like food for thought. When I talk about folks having food for thought type fare, this is a good example of being able to nail this with an aspect behind it. But if you do find yourself just wanting like the standard strip club smash and just like twerk that, pop that, some of that type of goodness to kind of have, not really as full bound, but it's just within the concept. It does have like some, it's just when, you know, you get the standard folks who complain about the fact that rap has nothing to say. This is an example of a rap album that does it in a good jovial and just kind of like club bounce and, you know, sociable haunting type aspect. This takes it back to the days of when Tech N9ne would kind of do that haunting type fare. I mean, it's too bad that there's no guests on this product or anything like that, but this is a concept. It does have some remnants of like the feature presentation and raw and uncut days, some of those type fares, some of that type pitch. This is a relatively spooky type product, which I enjoyed, so it's just within the fair. But yeah, food for thought type fare. So Where I'm Going, Where You've Been is like a basic kind of club bounce heat to kind of get here. Nice bass and thrill edge. Definitely feel like this is the night of rounds for the weekend as far as those pitch kind of happen. Now, there's not a ton of like these. There's not a ton of like these full blown kind of night bounce type songs. That, I mean, most of this album is sociable within the aspect. It does have like, I think the social score of this album is going to get a relatively higher score compared to like the concept, just the impact of it. It does have that commerce on here, but it's just within the pitch in terms of like ones that feel designated to like your standard strip club joint or your standard nightclub type joints. Just within the pitch, that is just kind of the concept that, you know, Kutt just has more things on his mind within the time with it within this pitch, but it does have the aspect it happens like some vehicle thump, some club bounce, some backyard shrillness as far as those pitches can happen. Where I'm Going, Where You've Been is one of those ones. Another one like that is By the Liquor Store. This is probably one of my more favorite ones, just from the tone behind it. This is like Where I'm Going, Where You've Been, Money Talks, and A Time to Kill. And I would say like this, well, most of this album's pretty in my favorable typeness. I'd say Ease My Mind, definitely some of those type ones. But By the Liquor Store is like a further kind of outgoing heat. I'd have to say here it goes with Where I'm Going. Like I was saying, not as jovial. I'd have to say though within the pitch, kind of insert some real talk with like the drink that you're sipping as far as those pitches kind of happen. It's just an interesting type tone. Kutt Calhoun seemed like he was one of those cats that was usually by the liquor store as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just excellent type fare, good standard typeness kind of get, but it's just within a different aspect. I would have figured like if the Kutt Calhoun that I remember from 2004, 2008, 2010 would have done a song with this title, probably would have been a lot more recreational, just in the sense maybe he would have been, you know, just being posting up, selling something like he normally does back in those particular days. So it's just kind of the aspect as far as saying just in the pitch behind it. It's just within the tone that this just has a little bit more of like reflecting on those particular times, just the times that he remembers from that particular aspect behind it. So it's just a different type pitch, but it's good within the sense as far as getting that sort of reflection just within the tone, but it just kind of keeps the concept. If you're really just looking for a song to kind of just have some liquor store kind of content just in the pitch, it just has that aspect of being somewhat eye-opening and just real talk within the tone behind it. But it is good. It's frenetic. It is a relative club bounce. Probably one of the best songs on this album would be Money Talks. Really like the emphasis of this one. It has like a faint kind of interpolation of like Cream by Wu-Tang on here, which is a pretty excellent type aspect to kind of get. Has an excellent interpolation of Cream by Wu-Tang Clan. Just a real gothic type one. Really like the appeal. It's like a crisp kind of Dracula-like. Money Talks like a crisp kind of Dracula-like night wooziness kind of get here. Just vintage Tech N9ne style Kutty. I would feel like within this particular song, just some real good haunting autumn brush kind of get within that tone. So just real excellent aspect to kind of have for some of this type fare. Definitely need another song like this. I'm surprised that Kutt Calhoun made this particular album as short as it was, just within the pitch behind it. I mean, he had not been around since 2015, and before that, just minus like a 6, 7, 8 song EP, had not really been around album-wise since 2013, so it's just within the pitch that he took most of the 2010s off. It's just within the appeal. There's some excellent type aspects here, just being able to get that, but this is definitely one of the album's best songs. This one is a little bit more jovial, this one, the pitch, but then really, like I was saying, this whole album is just, just has not so much soapbox type stuff, but just in the pitch of just having something to say. It's just kind of the aspect of just like, hey, this is actually, food for thought type projects for us. This pitch kind of happened. Like Ice Cube back in '91, and like someone like Killer Mike in like the political days, or just folks like that. Some of those type of folks that kind of did that sort of fare. It's just within the pitch that it's interesting that Kutt Calhoun had some of these type fares of actually having some digest kind of habits within the pitch. Ease My Mind's a real excellent song on here. Great smoking song. According to Spotify, this is the most popular song on here. This is the one that has over 100,000 plays, so it's a good pitch for that. It's like a dreary and smarmy kind of appreciative smoke up tune, I'd have to say here. Basic kind of slow cruise joint to kind of have within that pitch. Just neighborhood kind of cruise around and romps, as far as those pitches kind of happen just in a real dreary type sense. This is like a real homely type song and a good homely taupe song to kind of get. Just in the pitch, just neighborhood type stuff, just backyard smoking, some pitches like that, standard type fare, just appreciative type within the pitch behind it. Summer cruise around. Definitely gives like some Tupac type vibes of what he probably might have done by the time Tupac might have gotten to like the late 2010s, something like that. Just one of those type ones. Has like the energy of like Tupac and the Outlaws and folks like that. Just more summer energy folks like Plies and some of those type folks. Just in a typical kind of August, July kind of smokage romp, as far as those pitch kind of happen, just a more homely bound type sense. This is an example of a homely song that really nails it. Definitely like the aspect, just real appreciative within the sense. This is vintage Kutt Calhoun, just in the sense of his like usual kind of residential neighborhood type fare, just making Taco Bell runs and Burger King runs, pitches like that. I'd say just in the tone behind it. Good type fare. Now there's some biting kind of frenetic type songs on here, both Hidden Agenda and True for some ones like that. So Hidden Agenda is like a frenetic and kind of paced kind of night commerce, with like the Hidden Agenda is like a frenetic and paced kind of night commerce kind of get, just a real dramatic type one. This is like a with the shit kind of taste of real, I'd have to say about this particular song. Some good winter brush and just a biting kind of hit to kind of get here. So it's just the concept of something you listen to late November, December pitches like that, when it's just late November, December, when it's like biting out pitches like that. This real concept of just like that winter, it's that winter spice as far as those pitches can have a good type tone. Just really like the aspects of some of these. Good makeshift, I have to say. I don't talk as full bound about makeshift on this particular product, but this is relatively makeshift in mind. It's kind of more neighborhood slumming around as far as those pitches can happen. It's just within the concept that Kutt Calhoun is still within the conduct of. It's not as much full bound, just designated like, going to work, going to Target, going to like Starbucks, places like that, and like a standard blue collar. But it's just within the pitch of just like the affluence of this sauntering around, just within the aspect of this like having just like the standard conduct. So it's just within the pitch, just kind of typical Kutt Calhoun from the way he was in like featured presentation, just more beleaguered, just a little bit more wise as far as those pitches can have, and just same type tone. It's just the aspect behind it. So these are just some ones for like some winter brush, and then Truth is another one that's just like Hidden Agenda, same type of production, same sort of like dramatic kind of piano type beat, and like a winter fare. It's like this is more biting winter brush, like I was saying in Traverse. I would definitely feel like here, just a real talk kind of day to day type song, kind of get good sober and makeshift kind of have, and definitely some good ruminate within that pitch. It's the good concept behind some of these. It's interesting aspect, because I don't remember Kutt Calhoun doing songs like this in the past. I'd have to say, just in the fair, it's real good conduct. I mean, there are some summer gems on here, I'd have to say, like Ease My Mind and like and On the Way, I'd have to say, but it's just within the pitch of getting some more type moments for some of that makeshift type fare. It's just good evolution. Kutt Calhoun was pretty good at doing like these makeshift kind of thought provoking kind of out overcast day type moments like Tech N9ne, but there's not really songs like that on here, but it's just within the concept there is the makeshift within the sense, so it's good stuff. Persona is a nice one. Now this is one that takes it back to vintage Kutt Calhoun from like 2008, 2010. It's like a vintage cut and like a basic kind of Tell 'em Who I Am type format, kind of similar to songs like Get Cut off of Raw and Uncut, and a song like My Name Is by Eminem, some of those type pitches. Just one of those introductory type ones. I want to say like, just one of those type ones that just kind of has that sort of appeal. Maybe I'd also say a song like I've Been Dope off of his Black Gold album from 2013, I'd have to say, but this is like some dreary, I'd say Persona's like some dreary kind of evening slag to kind of get here. There's another summery type one just in the pitch, but the thing about the summer songs in this particular product is just the fact that it's just a lot more beleaguered and kind of more cultivated, I'd have to say. It's just not quite as much like dewy and just kind of more green within the aspect. It's just a little bit more beleaguered now, just kind of within the pitch, and just like the glaze behind it and just the after effect of just like, wow, look at the time as far as those pitches kind of having just within the tone behind it. just more dreariness kind of about it. On the Way is like that, Persona's like that, and Ease My Mind Within a Relative Sense is kind of like that as well. So there are some summer joints on here, but I do think in some senses, I know some folks might think that maybe the earlier cut was better just because he had a little bit more energy and flair about it, but these are some good ones, but they're just more beleaguered within the sense. It's kind of the tone that is just, it's not quite, I admit that I do miss that energy of like Kutt Calhoun when he was a little bit crazier within the pitch, but it's not like these are bad songs. It's kind of the pitch that just has a more cultivated, more matured type aspect as far as the takes on summer, which is just kind of constant. The winter songs don't have that the winter songs don't have that aspect, but when referring to like Kutt Calhoun from the days that you remember by him, like Whoopi Goldberg and like the Bunk Rock Bitch and some of those type tones, some of those hits that he had in particular, some of those summery type ones, and Raw or like Get Cut and Get and Naked Boom Boom Room, some of those type ones, just in Naked Boom Boom Room, some of those type pitches just within a different aspect. But it is good. I mean, Kutt Calhoun delivers these particular songs with flair. It's this good aspect of having like development as far as those pitches kind of goes. So it's a good type fair just getting these summer ones. The winter ones hit as well. So another one on here that's pretty nice is The Time to Kill. It's another good highlight, especially in terms of the production type fair. This is one of the best ones on here, along with Money Talks, that I have to say. It's like a ghostly kind of shrill, real talk haze kind of get within that tone. Goes with Money Talks, like I was saying, just a real emphatic beat it has saying some crisp out kind of thoughts. Kind of have this another wintry type one. Just goes great with Hidden Agenda, Truth, some of those type ones. Just within the aspect good type fair to kind of have for some of that just tone of just it's just good to get like some good makeshift and commerce, just vehicle thump pitches like that, just in the concept of like a haunting type aspect. The sort of stuff that Cypress Hill would kind of do within a relative makeshift type sense, like off of their Till Death Do Us Part album from 2004, some of those type pitches that just have that haunting kind of aspect. So I do like some of these autumn ones on here as well, just good type pitch for some of that. It's real nice fare for that. Money Talks and A Time to Kill are some real nice ones for some of that gothic typeness that, you know, Kutt Calhoun would occasionally do. He doesn't do as much horrorcore on this product, but it's just in the aspect it has some faint traces of it. On the Way is a nice one within the pitch. Like I was saying, this is another summer type one, just in the tone behind it. It's like a glazed and weathered kind of summer ride out, I'd have to say, just a stretched out kind of dreary version of Tupac's Me and My Girlfriend from like the Machiavelli album. I definitely feel like hearing this like a nice bop to kind of get within that tone. So it's just good aspect, nice ladies tune kind of have within this tone. And once again, there's not any commercial type, real single type format. There's surprisingly not much promotion on this particular album. It's just within the fair, just getting like a typical kind of Kutt Calhoun lady song. It's actually surprised that he does not really aim for the radio or much kind of bopish, kind of more fizzy type songs for like the Chicas as far as those pitch can happen. But this is at least one for that standard fare. Really has that particular tone. This is what I talk about with some of that Tupac and Outlaw's kind of summer glaze within the pitch. But like I was saying, it's just more cultivated, just a little bit more beleaguered. All the summer songs kind of have more development about it, just within the tone, and just not having the same feistiness, but it's just within the tone. These are good. They still continue to be good. And then Savior is the almost song. I think I talked about this. Yeah, I talked about that one. So basically, that's the concept about this particular album. So that's the context. I think I talked about every single song on here. This is the pitch behind it. So this album gets a 10 out of 10. I would almost say it would get a 9.75, but with the impact, I feel like these songs are vicious enough. I would listen to Savior oftenly enough to say it gets a 10 out of 10. So it's just within the tone. Now the social score, on the other hand, I'd probably give the social score like a 9.25, just in the pitch. These songs are good for the most part, but it's just kind of the concept that it just does not have much of like cutting loose type aspect within the tone. There are some moments like Where I'm Going. There are some moments like Where I'm Going, Where You Been, and Money Talks and Ease My Mind that has some relative kind of social bite about them within the pitch, but this doesn't feel as full bound, kind of more homies and just social bounce and even ladies bounce type music. This bell is for, you know, Bay and folks like that as far as those pitch can happen. Just does not have as much real for it. This kind of feels more of like for Dolo, just kind of strict. It's definitely good neighborhood type music, but it's kind of the tone of just not having the same standard neighborhood type music like Kutt Calhoun normally does, but it's just not within the aspect of like the social spark of what you would think from like his Strange Music days, or like Cuttin' Loose, some of those type products that I'd say, or Cuttin' Loose, some of those type products that I'd say. It's just within the tone. I mean, it has the quality songs on here, but it's just with the food for thought type fare, just is kind of questionable as to how that embrace is going to. It has the social songs on here. It's just kind of concept that the food for thought just kind of makes you question as to how that embrace would kind of go along with like the fare as far as like the food for thought. It's kind of like when you try to play Ice Cube from like the political days with one of your buddies, or some of your buddies, some of those type fares, or like, you know, more folks like that. It's just kind of a concept. It feels more makeshift boundness within day to day and localized, just kind of standard routine type frog, just smoke on your own, drink on your own, or maybe with just like with bass, something in that relative type pitch. It's just not within the aspect of having that full blown kind of like backyard freneticness. It's not really any moments designated to like festivity, cut loose, Friday night type fair within the aspect. It's not quite as grandiose with that, but and on top of that, there's not really a single. I'd have to say, not really much promotion, but so still, I mean, the songs are good. It's just been the concept that it's just more here and there as to how much is going to connect in terms like the freneticness of just like jive. I'd have to say, but there's some quality stuff. So 9.25. In terms of the future, like Kutt Calhoun dropped an album, like I was saying, in 2024, late 2024, so some good pitches. I'm also going to get to his 2023 EP pretty soon, so we'll get to some of those just for the impact. But this is a classic here, just for the impact. More thought provoking, has more stuff on its mind, has some digest here to kind of get to. Kutt Calhoun gives off like some Ice Cube and Killer Mike type vibes, some of those type folks, more folks like that. Common, some of those type folks in particular, I'd say just good type tone, but it suits. It works for what it is. You get the same local residential type fare, some good summer beleaguerment, some winter songs, some makeshift, some pitches like that, and just overall good, just good moments.